Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's data brief. Woohoo! Party! Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Woohoo! At one point we got to get the theme song sort of intro going, and then you don't have to listen to Brian's terrible singing. It's in the works. Never been closer. I think if I'm not mistaken, right now we are doing a big Discord jump. Some total idiot got us working with Rocket Chat there a few years ago, and it's just turned into such a black hole. Anyway, we're finally making the leap out of there. Sjord has been working like an absolute dog trying to get this whole thing going. His assistant actually, I think, is out sick now. So poor guy, but anyway, I basically said take the month of the beginning of March here to get this done, and I think once the Discord leap has been made, I'm feeling very optimistic about our prospects going forward. And actually, the Discord, the whole build out of the room looks really good. So way to go, TRI team! I also noticed that the team is working feverishly on these Google Shorts. It's funny, I'll just be sort of, randomly scrolling through the YouTube television short thing, and up pops Mr. Beamish's ugly mug talking about some esoteric topic in the stock market. But hey, yeah, we're getting better, slowly but surely. We're getting our act together there, so that looks good. I have to say, holy moly, we had an epic buy signal in the stock market there the other day. As you can see on the screen, the S&P 500 Breadth Indicator flashed a buy set up there. And more importantly, I think I was talking to you guys about this through like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday daily briefs. Whenever you see the histogram on this page get like this, where you have all the country funds all oversold and the S&P 500. S&P 500 didn't quite get uber oversold on the medium term. And then, of course, our universe. What the hell is this universe doing? Sjord, where are you, Sjord? I got to figure that out. Anyway, whenever we get the histogram to look like this, wow, holy moly. That coupled with this crossover, wicked buy. And I think I even tweeted this out. I was quite stunned. Look at what this silly market did. And the interesting thing about this is that this generates a signal at 9:30 Pacific time, which is in the evening, because Sjord updates this out of Europe. And we watched the market open up the following morning. And interesting, this teal box that's I like to use the 38.2 to 50% retracement levels, Collins pump chaser zone, and just watched how price acted. I actually think that a gnarly old pit traders kind of trade. I mean, if we zoomed in on that, you can just so see that that's a reload zone right down against those lows. Candle body lows for trade location, big old fat W bottom there. Inside bar, nice little doji candle there, and away she goes. Woohoo! Huge rally. And it was interesting to watch this because even crypto was spitting out bullish signals, and it even turned through this window really nicely. I suppose we'll talk about crypto in a moment, but crypto did take a bit of a punch in the nose last night, and there's a big bank down in the States. Actually, it's interesting. We tried to call the bank. It's out of California, and I think it was either Monday or Tuesday's daily brief. I can't remember which one it was. And we wanted to talk to the investor relations department and figure out what the hell's going on. And it was weird. They called and then they quickly hung up. And then, of course, yesterday, I don't know whether you're following, but Silvergate Capital, I suppose we can talk about that in a bit. They're under a bit of pressure here now. It'd be interesting to see whether they'll survive the storm. So we are in a very difficult little window here. It's funny. I don't know. I don't even think I think I mentioned this to you before. Oh God, it's gonna be impossible to find the person. Oh well, I can't do it now on the fly. But there were, some crypto sort of, people that I like to follow. One astrologer dude, and he said that Wednesday was actually the peak of sort of the one particular sort of celestial cycle, and Jupiter and I think it's Venus or anyway, one of those planets was going to conjunct or make an aspect. And then he said that for the next 2 weeks, right into the Ides of March, things are going to get really crazy with a whole bunch of other sort of funny astrological events happening. So I think he also said too that he figured that it's going to be a lot of tension, a lot of stress. Tempers could get out of hand very easily. So my advice to everybody in the world is just take a deep breath. Don't chase. If anything, wow, today and what we're seeing in the crypto market right now, I think is an excellent analogy of why you do not want to chase. And just slow and steady wins the race. The 15th of March historically, and I think it's the 15th. Mind you, it might just be a floating date. But going back all the way, of course, to Julius Caesar's days and all those. Bit of a challenging time for the humans. I've always said to people that the equinoxes are very, very difficult transitions because basically now, I mean, thank heavens, because here in the lower mainland of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, the sun basically disappears through the winter session. So now we're heading back into the summer session. And these equinoxes often make very important pivots for the market. So we're going to be transitioning from that winter economy, the winter sort of thinking, getting ready for the spring, summer sort of mentality, northern hemisphere, and everything that's sort of associated with that. So be forewarned. Go slowly here. I don't think there's any new huge trends establishing. I've said repeatedly that I believe that 2023 is a transition year, and this is basically my roadmap. It should be extremely back and forth, back and forth. And did we just maybe go through one of these sort of peak parts of this image? I kind of think so. I was wondering whether maybe we were up in here and we got to pull back a little bit here, then set up some sort of maybe like midsummer kind of rally. Usually the venture cap, especially things like crypto, does very, very well through the latter part of the summer. Then we'll dump into the fall, have some sort of major crisis of confidence. Is it going to be war related? Could be. Is it economically related? We've got, of course, plenty of debt ceiling debate issues that could potentially arise. Could it be that the Chinese real estate bubble finally is acknowledged by the world that it has officially burst? Anyway, there's a bunch of reasons that could pop up. Did hear the Fed speakers here even today start to talk about, hey, they don't think that they're going to be done. Federal Reserve officials sound warning about higher rates. It's interesting how all these characters that go to the Fed, instantly they lose all of their coloring in their hair. So here's yet another guy who looks relatively young, but Jesus, white as a ghost. Like, what the hell? Anyway, so the point here is, and this has been my belief all along, that this whole great reset window, this goes on right through the whole decade here, folks. So it's not going to be like inflation. Hey, we've declared victory. It's over. I don't think it's going to be like that. This is going to be back and forth for probably the next 4 or 5 years. if not longer. So, there's your backdrop. It's good to see, if anything, the market did pivot. Julian had pointed out yesterday in his report, which I thought was pretty good. Julian's getting very good at his offerings. That we probably, where's the best place to show you this? Maybe even just the spot market. Yeah. We had big downtrend lines off of the peak, and all we did over the past this is a weekly price chart, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, is we sort of ran out of steam to the upside and then came back down and just played with this original downtrend line from the top. I think Julian is a big fan of his RSI studies. He sort of did the same thing. Kind of ad-libbing here a bit, but something along those lines. Not exactly sure what levels he's working with. He might even be using a different RSI. So I think he had pointed out in his video offering yesterday on the site that us getting a buy signal here off of a tag of this trend line from the other side, it's not really that big of a deal. If anything, kind of business as usual. If anything, what I was kind of wondering here was, did we have a trend continuation pattern to the downside? And you see off of these charts, I was kind of thinking that maybe we might have had a gap theory. I still like this as an ultimate objective low. I think this is nothing more than just a dead cat bounce within the context of a broader bear. It's just the market had fallen so much. And if anything, I'm a little concerned because, of course, that buy signal was just absolutely killer yesterday. But, is this maybe a little too far, too fast? So, as I pointed out on that other that tweet, the buy signal came in here, and look at that move. Holy free holies. Coming into now, historical resistance. This is like a half-hour chart. And if we start doing things like AB, CDs, you can see we're probably going to head up into that ATR level up top there. So, I can't go and buy that now. We're probably closer to the top than the bottom. It was very, very difficult. And actually, it was interesting when I was posting this on the site yesterday. It was just like almost no interest in this signal whatsoever. And I do find it interesting, of course, that TRI's community is fairly heavily, involved in the crypto space. And, of course, the crypto market put in similar signal. Let's see if I can show you that. That was over here. Bullish breakout. And it's interesting how this is not broken down yet. I do find that kind of interesting. But on the bullish cross here, I just went and bought our position back. And this just happens to be one trading plan that I'm running currently. Keep in mind, we got probably about at least I personally have at least about a half a dozen different trading plans that I'm running across various different markets. So this particular one, this past 6 months, I've just been like, you know what? I'm just going to take every single signal and let's just see at the end of the year whether it was worth paying attention to. It might not. We might find at the end of all this study, I always, and this is, if anything, a really, really good example of the whole idea of vetting out trading plans and vetting out settings, what are your 3 reasons for trading and all that kind of fun stuff. This was our day trading opening range trade setup plan that Chris and I were doing here recently. But here is that Bitcoin breadth trading plan. And I always tell everybody, if you're going to, follow a new trading plan, at the very least, you should. I like the idea of forward testing in real time, because just because the system gives a signal, and keep in mind back testing. The data is not exactly accurate, especially if you're using things like exponential moving averages. The data actually changes versus real time versus historical back testing. I don't think a lot of people in trading, especially new people to trading, even understand that. But anyway, point here is if you're going to actually take a new setup and see whether it works, you should at the very least vet it with 20 paper trades, then 21 tenth account size trades. And if you can, number one, actually see somewhat desirable results, ideally I'd like to see 60, 70, somewhere in that area percent accuracy. But also, too, more importantly, can you actually execute the plan without screwing up, without making mistakes? Believe it or not, that's actually where most people fail at this game of trading is they just can't control their own behavior and they fat finger and all that kind of talk. So this is just nothing more than me going through the process of vetting this setup out, and you can see I'm only about a half a dozen trades into this, and I should have at least 20 trades here just to, number one, see whether I can actually do it. Can I sit at 9:30 every single evening waiting for the indicator to flash a buy or sell signal? Because like I said, that's when it updates. And then can I actually execute? And interestingly enough, there's no real this is guaranteed to work. This is not guaranteed to work. In fact, I would expect most half decent setups to be wrong a good 30-40% of the time. So that's just a trader's life. And if it's a crappy setup, you're probably going to be wrong like 70-80% of the time. So the market's just going through its thing. And if anything, you always hear people in the cryptoverse talking, maybe not always, but quite a bit, talking about black swan events. And interestingly enough, when we look at the Bitcoin chart, this is more sort of higher time frame, daily perspective. We've been kind of barking about how, we sure have come an awful long way in a short period of time. So I think you can make the argument that maybe a correction's a bit overdue here. Also, too, this drives me crazy because nobody really listens to me when I do talk about this. I think that there was just an absolute blatant market manipulation around these pro shares Bitcoin strategy exchange traded fund options expiry there into January. I mean, I've tweeted about this repeatedly, and yet not really that many people are interested. Very simply put, let's see if I can do this in 1 minute, 9:21. 90% of all puts in the marketplace are written by institutional players, not the public. So if we understand that, that's, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, whoever, the market makers. You hear a lot of times in various different YouTube channels and stuff talking about how the market makers are moving markets. Well, quite often they do this through the options market. So if they write all these options, and then especially put options give you the right to sell an asset at a specific price for a given period of time. If they can bid this asset up to the point where it's above all of these strike prices, $11 to $15, then number one, if I bought the put option down here, expecting to have the right to sell down here, if the market is up here, well, why exercise the put, right? If I have the right to sell at $12 and the market's $15, well, I'll sell at $15. I'll just sell at the market. So the puts themselves, Wall Street's heavily incentivized to move the market up so that these puts expire out of the money, basically above what the right is to sell them at, sell the stock at. And technically, the option actually will just simply expire worthless. And they did that to the tune of 47,000 contracts Each contract is on 100 shares. So that's basically like there was the right to sell 4.7 million shares of this ETF that all those rights all basically expired worthless. Wall Street goes cha-ching, rings the register, off to the Hamptons to have a great weekend. Conversely, and this is what I noticed, if you can find this, I think it's extremely valuable. If there's a whole bunch of call options that are written at a very specific level, and you notice that the market, this is the $15 call, if the option actually expires in the money, there is a sort of a clause in these deals that says that the option will be auto exercised. So this was basically the right to buy 1.2 million shares of this ProShare ETF at $15. And this was the option's expiry. So they bid the market up, had it close nicely above that 15, so it auto exercised. Public buys at $15. And what a surprise! Shortly thereafter, what direction has this thing gone? Now, I would make the argument that this should be a pretty good support level here, down at about 13 and a quarter, as well as this level here, which, and this brings us back to this image. I think that this looks like some sort of big head and shoulders pattern. Hey, look at that, bear head and shoulders confirmed. Well, that was probably a little one that I was looking at earlier, but right now what I would just simply say is this looks something along the lines of boom, 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 something like that. So ironically enough, the dump last night, like I said, black swan events, the sort of stock market worry right now, of course, is all about this Silvergate. And as I said, which was kind of funny because on Monday, we called the company up. It was either Monday or Tuesday, and we were kind of like, well, what do you think? Can we get a hold of the investor relations department, just see what's going on over there? And, you know, interestingly enough, we had a customer service girl. Her name was Maya. And she was trying to help us out, but we left a message for the investor relations department, and they never called us back. Or I got a weird call, but they quickly hung up. So it was like I don't quite understand what the hell was going on over there. I did mention shortly thereafter. You'll notice that right here, the market was flashing a bit of a warning sign. Right, that is an M, and we all know, of course, M's are not good. So there was a bit of a warning that, oh boy, all hell could break loose. And interestingly enough, when we sort of looked at this originally, I think the ending comment was, we're probably going to come back right down to this original bottoming level. And sure enough, that's where we are, right down here. Now, you know, as an interesting sort of aside, it might be interesting just to take a look at the put options. So maybe in the aftermarket or the after party show, we'll go look at these puts. But this is clearly what's dominating the market's attention here in North America with regard to crypto. It is interesting to see that other crypto stocks are trying to buck the overall trend and rally in the face of this. I did it here. I thought this was interesting that Mr. Saylor said that he didn't have any of his Bitcoins at Silvergate, but he did actually take a loan out from Silvergate. Now, I'm not quite sure how that plays out, but I guess the market's interpreting that as slightly bearish. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Like, I'm actually a little surprised to see things like Coin. They kind of disconnected with this Silvergate and said, hey, we don't have anything to do with them. The Mara and the Riot, of course, they're not associated with Silvergate, and they're trying to rally in the face of this. Be interesting to see what Mr. Novogratz does, but I think he's more tied to sort of various different other stories in crypto. So I think that's sort of the... And I don't know whether it's a black swan or not. Tough to say. I do remember on Tuesday, we actually looked at these Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin down. proxy over there on Binance. There's also the Bitcoin down exchange traded fund that we were looking at, and we were, it's interesting because on the Tuesday Stock Picker Club meeting, we took a good look at this, and I think the consensus was that this thing, this is the down ETF, so you can see that chart, lots of gaps to the upside, because remember, the up ETF went a little crazy, and they trapped all these people long on this thing, and you can see all the gaps here. So I wouldn't be surprised, again, it looks like it's still a bit early, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is some sort of inverted head and shoulders, like so. We'll see how this goes. I mean, only time will tell. But you can see we jumped up there. We could probably come up against these highs here, and that will be sort of our tell. I mean, we might turn into a megaphone here. But I'll be watching this over the next few sessions. I don't think that, I think we're going to run into a fairly stiff resistance level up in here. And, as I said there just a moment ago on the Bitcoin itself, that's against this low here and that low there. Now, the question is, why did Bitcoin puke out here last night? And I did notice that when I was, first off, when I noticed, this is my little fun little Binance account, we're trading those. The little old lady altcoin plan. I did notice last night that on this event, I was trying to find where the heck I have that Twitter feed. I thought it was there, but must be one of these. Here it is. I did notice that OKCoin was the one that they were kind of blaming. Now remember, on the Bitcoin chart, we've actually been posting stuff like this that, seeing this big head and shoulders come in here, I guess that's not really that big of a surprise. And, what is the path for the, once this sort of spring rally had finished, I showed you that Wyckoff image. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have to come back down to these levels in here. Let's see where the heck that is. Oops. What do we got here? 19,000, 20,000. It's not unrealistic. Still think that we got some games against both of these lows here first, though. So, the question is, why? Why did the market break like that? And the only news that I could find that I think keep in mind that, the Silvergate stuff is going to be dominating the headlines. But the only reason that I could really find that justified this was OKCoin. They had some sort of market manipulation, malicious market manipulation associated. And they reversed, I guess, a coin that was pumping on their exchange. And I think they needed to, you can see a total airdrop of 3 million USDT. I guess they wanted to reverse that. And I got the impression, this is the only news that I could find around the event. When I was sitting there, and what's a really cool tool to follow is this site for crypto news. When the market actually broke there last night, this place was still spitting up bullish chatter, which I thought was kind of interesting. So they didn't even the dump last night sort of took everybody off by surprise. Now, is it that Silvergate related, or was it to do with OKCoin? I don't know. What I did notice was, like I said there, we had a huge buy signal in this stock market yesterday. And in an interesting sort of way, there was that 1 hour down candle on crypto, and then all the sort of everything just stopped. Let's see if I can show you where we had that. I think it was, well, anyway, we'll just show you this one. And that was right into here. And now you can see the silly thing is actually threatening to start working its way back higher. So I don't know. Like I said, I was a bit surprised that that this move. So I think it caught a lot of people off guard. The stock market is having a huge rally. You can see here's an old levels I was looking at. I did go in and buy back the Bitcoin position because we had that bullish setup on the breadth indicator. It's underwater right now, but I still don't have a sell signal, so we'll see what happens. You might actually find, and I think the tell here is obviously this high right here. So keep an eye on this level here. You can see they've tried to bring it up here a couple times. The stock market is just absolutely on fire right now. So it's got a nice uppy. And I also noticed too that around the world, a lot of things, whoops, I keep popping over there. A lot of things seem to keep moving up here. So what's the sort of news out there in the rest of the world? Does it make sense that the stocks are rallying? We had Japan up about 1.5% overnight. We always say that Japan is a great sort of benchmark for what to expect going forward. The Asian kill zone. You've probably heard us talk about that before. So Japan and Asia actually enjoyed a pretty good day. China, China's going to have to go through some growing pains here. I actually heard a statistic that said that almost half of the economic data that they've reported over the past 5-10 years is actually BS. And at some point, we're going to have to go and sort of figure out what the hell is the truth and what's a lie. So I think the whole China dream, I think that's over. But I'll tell you, Japan's looking pretty damn hot here. And I have been barking about Japanese equities for quite a while. I really like Japan going forward. Maybe not now, but fascinating going on there. And then Europe. Europe seems to have a pretty damn good day here as well. Looks like Britain a bit soft. But there was Germany and France and Italy, them all having a good day. So the backdrop, again, when you if you're going to do nothing else, just take away from this, when you ever see this crypto breadth indicator all embedded to the downside like this, where you have like oversold on both the short and medium term, especially on the country funds, and just a lot of down here, you should expect some sort of counter trend rally. So that's what I think is going on here. Now, this might be, with regard to crypto, this might be coordinated that somebody does not want crypto to participate on the bull here. But the equity market's being bid up here. Sort of the news coming out. Hell, Russian stock market even rallied. Go figure. We've got interesting Baltic Freight Index enjoyed a very nice move up. So a little bit more bullish activity coming out of that sort of the Northern European shipping and business. So they're feeling pretty good. ISM came out here this morning. Really relatively respectable numbers. Not numbers that would make you want to jump out the window. And also too, the prices paid component actually ticked down a little bit. So that, that sort of helps that. Oh my God, the Fed's going to come and raise interest rates through the roof. And keep in mind that the Fed kind of set the market up a little bit this morning by saying, yesterday, and I don't know whether this was out yesterday. Oh yeah, yesterday. They kind of set the market up that, hey, you know what, the Econs are still strong. We might need to raise interest rates some more. So the fact that the Econs came out today showing that the prices paid are a little bit softer, I think the market breathed a bit of a sigh of relief there. Interestingly, if we actually look at the non-manufacturing PMI, this is the service sector, and I think the economy is going to be dominated by services. Probably the manufacturing part of the economy is going to come back, but it's outsourced to things like Mexico and I suppose to a lesser degree Canada. But services, this is the Fed's getting what it wants. You can see lower highs and lower lows. Pretty good uptick here, but we didn't break out to new highs. So it's almost like this could turn into one of these Goldilocks scenarios where The economy is relatively okay. Reading above 50 means economic expansion here. But because the prices are calming down here a bit, right? We look at the prices for the non-manufacturing right here. You can see they're calming down. This is one of these Goldilocks economies, not too hot, not too cold. Was there any sort of tells within the derivatives market? You heard me bark in there earlier about that Bitcoin ETF. I think actually there were. If we look at the open interest for the S&P 500 options heading into the expiry today, my rule of thumb here is that on the call side, remember this is exactly the same scenario that we just saw with that Bitcoin ETF. So notice that the heaviest open interest seems to be right around this 400 strike price. And you notice there is the S&P 500 at 402.08 right now. So are they going to force the exercise of this 73,000 open interest on these calls? And in essence, that's a massive transfer of wealth. All the public that bought these 400 calls, they're going to get filled, i.e. they just bought a lot of S&P 500 stock. They are SPY, the Spider's biggest ETF in the world, at $400. And then, of course, does the market top and roll over? Like I said there a moment ago, ironically enough, from a day trader's perspective, there's the ATR, here's trendline resistance, here's horizontal support and resistance, there is the bull ABCD objective. I can guarantee you next week I'm going to be hunting like a dog looking for shorts up top here. But for now, 402.90, I get the impression that they want this 400 to expire in the money so that the public gets exercise. Boom, they just go and buy all the stock off the 1%. And then more importantly, remember my commentary about the puts. And when you see this, it's shocking. So you notice, look at this, 33,000 to 394, 42,000, 25,000, 23,000, 19,000, 30,000, 22,000, 23,000, 30,000. And then look at this, above 400, 14,000 at 401, 402, 5,000. Keep in mind, S&P right now sitting at 402.10. Look at what happens here. We go up to 402, and then all of a sudden the numbers start to just fall off a cliff. So you can see that Wall Street, once again, all of these options as it stands right now, if they take the market out like this, all of these tens of thousands of options are all going to expire worthless. Wall Street goes cha-ching again. And all of the options that they're going to have to pay out, you can see the open interest is almost nothing. And I wouldn't even be surprised to add insult to injury. They actually try and take the market out all the way up top here. I mean, I doubt it, but maybe. You never know. As we said, that bull ABCD, its target up there is 404.50. I mean, do they just push this thing higher here into the end of the day? I don't know. It's a mug's game. But if they do, then, oh my goodness, these guys in the Hamptons, it's hookers and blow on them this weekend. Oh my goodness. So you can kind of see the just blatant market manipulation going on here into this options expiry. And it happens week in, week out. So it's probably worth your while to pay attention to that data. So what does that sort of leave us as a backdrop? Interestingly enough, from as I had said earlier, the crypto market still technically is working a buy. I don't know whether we get blown out here. If we do, then this trading plan, I'll hop off. No big deal. Next bus, 10 minutes. It's interesting how the broader market is still trying to correct. I've said this repeatedly. More sixes on the crypto universe than you can shake a stick at. So as far as I'm concerned, pullbacks are buying opportunities. I suppose in the Afterparty show, we'll go through sort of the list of names that either I am buying, or I'm still long looking for more doubles, or I'm working bids. I noticed names that I actually want to buy, they're still stubbornly staying strong. Jerks. Did notice a couple names that we did buy recently actually are holding on to their bids, which is a bit of a surprise. Hey, John's going to join us here. Hello, John. And then, go figure, there's names like this. And, it's a bit silly. I don't even know if I can actually say it on YouTube, but I should quit with the really crude, barroom jokes. But what the hell? And of course, all the vax people and stuff talking about their unvaxxed sperm now is going to be trading at a huge premium. Yeah, there you go, Josh. Talk about green dildos. Hey, caramba. So, we always say there's always a bull somewhere. So, ironically enough, in the face of all that mess out of Bitcoin and what the hell's going on there is actually places that are still rallying. So, try and trade your setups. I think, if anything, this is an absolute perfect analogy. Don't chase. There's lots of markets that when zooming up, I mean, hell, you could even argue for Joe's six-pack. You don't really have any business coming in and, investing in Bitcoin way up top here. That's kind of asking for trouble. If you are interested, and there are, I even tweeted out yesterday, if you are interested, there are names that are just bumping along the bottom end of their range. They just haven't been sort of given the green light to rally yet. And I'm in there actually trying to get in on the long side. This is a good one. I have no idea what the hell these guys do, but actually I mentioned this in the lounge last night, and one guy was like, you're right, Brian. Actually, I think I'll go buy some of that. So this guy just hasn't participated. Is there any room for this thing to move up? Well, I'll leave that for you to decide. All right, I think I'll leave the rant at that. That was a good, 45 minutes. A little bit too long. Sorry, everybody. Hope you got some good value out of that. Slow and steady wins the race. If you got some of this on the books, my next sell half on a double order, I'm already halfway to my next one. I guess my next sell half on a double order is going to be up around the 4669 level. And I guess that would make sense. A good old Foggenbaum second double for us. And as I said there a moment ago, don't chase. Be patient. Here's one nobody's talking about. You can see where, of course, Brian wants to be long. In fact, I might even think about start getting some bids working. Yeah, it's a market. Yeah. All right. Do you trade the stock market, the crypto market, or do you trade a market of stocks, a market of cryptos? Slow and steady wins the race. PMA for the win. Come on over, and we'll talk another hour or so in the after party about. Maybe specifics. We'll go into some options expiry stuff, and then maybe pull apart the day trader charts and stuff a little bit more. Other than that, if anything, as the marketing team's been saying recently, big goal. We would really like to try and get this YouTube channel ramped up as much as possible. So if you found any value in this broadcast, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when we start this. We start this generally fairly on time, around 9 o'clock Pacific time every Monday to Friday. And then also, too, we have our fun show on the weekends. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. All right, everybody. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day, weekend. Consider joining us for a more in-depth conversation through the after party. All the best, and the only thing left for Brian to say is bye for now.